Headspace.
Welcome back, everyone, to Headspace by My Mama Done Told Me. This is part 2 of a 2-part episode series with, I'm Jeff and that's Lauren. You guys already know that, but we are here with Marcia and Paul. Yeah, we're old news. We're here with Marcia and Paul of D.A.M.M Investigations. If you have not listened to part 1 of this episode, you're going to want to go back and listen to that first, because this is part 2.
My dog is the best.
And Trixie is still the best. So she's looking at you like dancing from Paul's lap. Anyway, we're here with Marcia and Paul, and we're talking about things that are paranormal and some experiences that we had. We heard some clips from some of their investigations as well. So we're going to get back into it. We had more we wanted to talk about, so we broke this into 2 parts. So here we go. Skepticism, right? We mentioned that last week, even though that was like 5 minutes ago. We mentioned that last week. How do you handle skepticism of your work? So you guys have very graciously been answering my questions, even though I mentioned I am skeptical of it, and again, skeptical and open-minded. Mm-hmm. And how do you handle, I'm sure, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my guess is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you probably get more skeptics than you do true believers, quote unquote. Is that accurate, you think?
Probably.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? You just brush it off, or do you feel a need to defend or anything like that?
For me,
sure.
I don't need to prove anything to anybody.
Right.
And that's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know what I can do. I know what I can see. And I would welcome them to any investigation that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
on board with that.
Yeah.
I want to go.
Yeah.
Just to see
Yep.
How it works.
Yeah.
So with that being said, do you allow people to come along with you to investigations?
Not on private residence. We don't. Everything we do there is confidential. Sure. Yeah. Clients' names, addresses, all that good stuff.
But for something more public, if someone wanted to go with, you would consider?
Absolutely.
Do you have some prerequisites on what that is? Like, do you you're going to be respectful, you're going to be, this sort of thing? Like, do you have some things that do you have some pep talk that you give to people if they're coming with you for the first time? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah. Like you said, be respectful of the dead. Don't disrespect them or try, cause problems.
Intentionally, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because some people are just rude,
Yeah, they are.
Trying to get a reaction from them. And it's not necessarily them that get hurt, and the process is usually me.
Yeah, you're the one they're talking to.
Yeah, and when we do our EVP sessions, you have to be absolutely quiet. So we usually sit on the floor, but if you are standing, you can't shuffle, you can't move,
shift,
you can't do anything,
right?
Because his box will pick that up and blast it out so loud.
I'm probably hearing my stomach noises on these microphones.
I know. We do hear our stomach noises on his box as well. And the main reason for that is because if we are capturing something and you're moving, it will go right over that audio that could have been really good. I mean, we don't know. So that's that for me, that's my biggest thing. If you're not quiet, I'm going to let you know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
I might ask you to leave.
Yeah.
Fair enough. How about you, Paul? Anything that you, how do you handle if someone's like, I think what you do is probably all fake?
Probably not very well, frankly.
Yeah.
But it drives me. I would be working on a version 3 anyway, because my pursuit is, for my own knowledge, but the fact that I can share it with other people who care to hear it is great.
Yeah.
My belief doesn't just come from what I'm hearing from my stuff. We've talked in part 1. If you haven't seen part 1, go watch part 1. We talked about my experiences with her and Mary. And so I do have my beliefs, right? And the skepticism drives me to make my stuff better. So,
yeah, if you were working with only people or around people that are already a true believer, it's going to be a lot easier to sell them that or to convince, I guess, that this is something legit. Whereas if you're going against, someone who has no, maybe even interest in believing, I would imagine if it were me, the hope is that I put something in front of you that takes all the doubt away, or at least a good portion of it. And just, it's hard for you to say that wasn't real.
Yeah.
Which is going to be really hard to find something.
Right.
But
I mean, that's my goal in my work and what I work on.
yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you. What keeps you motivated to keep doing this? Is it that same kind of thing? Is it to share or to help? Or Marcia, let's start with you.
For me, it's to help. Like I said, the living and the dead, and I guess another thing that keeps me going is just, what is it like? How are you able to come over here? Like, are you on a different plane than we are? Do we look like ghosts to you?
Right.
Or like,
oh, interesting.
Like, what's going on?
What's the? I'm sorry. Let me ask Paul kind of the same question. What kind of keeps you motivated to do this? You've been doing this for quite a few years, and
decade and a half,
probably
easily. Well, no, actually, since the
the
early 2000s, I've been actively doing something.
Okay.
as
So,
far
20
as
years.
as teams and stuff,
But
15 years for me.
It's not just it's paranormal, it's supernatural. But for some folks, and even if it's just here or there, that can maybe get some comfort when they ponder their own existence, even if it's just a person or two. And some of my stuff can help comfort even folks like that. It's totally worth it to me.
Yeah.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on religious beliefs meets, like, is it all intertwined? You mentioned last episode that you encountered a spirit that was maybe a demon. Is that demonic? Is there a certain maybe religion that gets closer to what a demonic entity is? Is it, as Lauren and I were raised in the church, and neither of us necessarily apply a whole lot of that anymore? Where does that fall? Are you practicing religious at all, or is there a place for that in what you do? Does that help it? Does that hurt it?
I'm pagan.
Okay.
So my beliefs are usually a lot different from our clients' beliefs, but I always tell them to go with your beliefs. I mean, if I'm in you have more power in your own house than I do. I just prefer to do my stuff differently.
But what does that look like, I guess? Like when you, and I'm not real versed on terminology, so paganism, I have an idea, but like, where does that play into the things that you're seeing and the things that you're experiencing? When I hear something like demon, right? My upbringing was there's
spiritual warfare.
Spiritual warfare. There's demons, there's angels, there's gods, there's Satan, there's, or there's God,
not plural.
Singular. But there's also religions that believe that there's multiple. So does that have a
So like
place?
When you say demon, are you talking about that kind of demon, or is this like just like an evil entity?
Evil entity that's not a human spirit.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have thoughts on where that comes from then, and it's okay to just not know? I mean,
I really don't know about those entities.
Okay.
I have seen like elementals, so I know those are from the earth, but
okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could just call it a demon because that's what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah, and it's a more,
and it's easy for other people who maybe are raised in that way or do have those beliefs to kind of put that somewhere.
It probably conjures a certain thought of what it may be closer to.
In all my years, I've been able to see stuff like that. I'm 49 now, so 41 years, and I've only seen three, maybe four things I would consider a demon.
Wow.
Okay. And one of them being that little girl we met last episode.
And I've only came face to face with two.
Wow. Yeah. Thoughts, Paul?
I don't think we're trying to offer any conclusions or conclusatory type stuff.
Okay.
If that's even a word.
It is today.
I think, obviously people have beliefs all over. To me, if there's evidence that we can contribute on existence beyond our life, it's just purely data that people then can take and maybe even help me try to make sense of it. But in my mind, it is data.
Yeah,
it is data. And that's what I'm trying to gather.
I appreciate that outlook on it. I really do. I think that that's a smart way to go about doing what you're doing, and then saying, hey, it's not for me to tell you what to do with this data, as you said.
Right.
It's I'm just giving you what we're finding.
Right.
And if you attribute that to this,
right. It's almost like validation. It's not, you're not trying to.
You're not trying to tell people what's right and what's wrong and where it's coming from and what it's doing. And I appreciate both your answers. I think just kind of knowing where you're coming from when you're finding these things or when you're experiencing these things. Let's talk about some of the more intense investigations that you've been a part of. Is there something that sticks out in your head regarding or about the one or maybe multiple that you just go, whoa, that was intense? Did we hear one of them last week in our episode? Or
we did hear one. Okay. But
what do you mean intense? Like activity wise,
I think take that however you'd like. And I think what I mean is more you walk away from it feeling like, whoa, like
there's a couple places that I've walked away from and vowed to never return.
I'd be interested.
And I did come back another time, and I was like, "Why are you doing this for?" We call it the Exorbitant House.
Okay.
And I don't think you were there with us.
Not on the first one.
On the very first one. So it was me, Angie, Amy, and Doreen. And the house was completely empty. It was a rental home, and the lady that rents it out, I guess, a realtor or whatever, wanted us to come in because the 4 other clients were having claims. So we're like, sure, yeah, we'll come in. Completely empty. And we set up all of our cameras upstairs, downstairs. They're wired. And we had just one little table in the living room that had the DVR and everything on it. We were downstairs investigating in one of the rooms, and we heard what sounded like a chandelier or the globe that goes around the glass on the ceiling fall and break. And we're like, what the hell? So we go upstairs, and there's nothing wrong until we entered one of the bedrooms, and our camera was thrown across the room.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I said, if you're going to throw stuff, throw something that doesn't cost so much.
Right. And I hope that memory card is still intact.
Another thing that happened in that home is we were walking up from the basement, and Ange turned around, and this thing was crawling up the stairs after her. So it was very creepy. There was a boy in there with blacked out eyes and sharp teeth and blood. And apparently I was semi-possessed in there, and I don't have any memory of that, just what they told me happened. I just know I was in the house one time, and then when I came back, I guess I was outside.
Wow.
Doreen says that my face had like another face over it. So. And I was like, okay, I think that's enough for me. Like, I don't want to go back there.
No, thanks.
But we did go back there.
Yeah.
Thank God nothing like that happened the second time around.
Did it though?
What?
Did you not get a particular word scratched into you?
I did, but I wasn't possessed. So
yeah, it wasn't a possession.
NBD.
She just literally got a word scratched across her chest.
Oh my God.
Right?
I did. Yes.
What was the word?
Witch.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wear that like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
Do you know where that came from?
I think it was me and Doreen were sitting in the chair in the living room, if I remember correctly. And again, the house was empty.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it me and Kim? I can't remember. And my chest just started like really burning really bad. And I was like, oh shit, I got hit. And so I looked down, I pulled it down, and it was just in big letters, and you could see it actually forming the rest of the word across my chest.
Wow.
So.
And then we heard Marcia's a witch through the box. Did we not?
Through the box. Yeah.
So what do you do when you find something like that, or when clearly that's something you're dealing with that's more aggressive, more violent? Do you just say, well, I'm out of here and good luck? Is there, are there claims, or do you guys believe that there are ways to dispel these things, or
like clear or cleanse or
do you
whatever?
do you call Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray? I mean, obviously that's a joke, but
yeah, I usually cleanse and bless the home.
Sure.
When we leave.
Then a question there: cleanse and bless. What does that mean to you then?
I'm also ordained.
Okay.
So
me too.
Fancy.
I do my own blessings, my pagan rituals, and I use Palo Santo to cleanse a home because it invites the positive energy in while pushing negative out.
Does anyone else feel like Palo Santo smells like balloons?
I've never thought that, but I'll have to keep that in mind the next time.
The first time I burned it, I was like, why does this smell like a rubber balloon?
That's like it's weird. Okay.
Like, did you get the real stuff?
Right.
I have no idea. I don't know.
It
had like some kind of
it
plastic.
smells like citrus and pine usually.
There was nothing citrus about what I smelled.
Oh,
so
well, maybe it had some kind of like weird coating on it or something.
Yeah,
I'll give you one of my sticks.
Okay.
Right, there you go.
But if we could turn the tables for a second, Jeff, tell me why you had the urge to burn Palo Santo.
I wanted to know what it smelled like.
Okay, well,
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
He's like, I'm trying to clean my demons.
Right. Well, like I said, I am open-minded about stuff, but I also, like, between my sister and my wife, they both have some, not to speak out of turn, but like some, like spirituality and natural kind of healing and like some belief in energies of like crystals and things like that. So, I get curious about all kinds of stuff, and I'm a big fan of like good luck charms and things like that, even though I don't truly believe in luck or much of anything. I love the idea of it. I love the thought behind it. I love
superstitions and stuff are so intriguing. I love that stuff.
I love the iconography of that sort of thing.
And like the folklore and
the stories behind it and all of that. So I love it. I just don't a lot of times step into anything with both
what could
my
it
feet.
hurt? I mean,
it doesn't hurt.
I also do spiritual cleansings on people too.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
And when I do those, some people are like, oh, I was seeing like bright lights and stars. And I'm just like, I wish I can give myself one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I want to see bright lights.
I want to see what you're saying.
yeah, without the use of, well, forget it.
Yeah.
There are certain ways we can get there. But so my next question was actually about locations that you find too dangerous to revisit. And you mentioned one of them. Paul, do you have anything to add to that? Is there anywhere that, like, so you're the guy from first episode that wanted to go downstairs even though you knew something was down there. So something tells me you might be a little less hesitant to go places, but you also strike me as a and don't take this the wrong way, but a very soft-spirited person. So I don't want to think that, I'm not assuming that you're going in chest buffed, like, hey, bring it on, brother. But
he's not Zach Baggins in it.
I don't know who that is, but
well, no. Count your blessings.
Oh, is he Ghost Bro? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, he's the worst.
It's just my curiosity, I would say, would keep me wanting to try to go to locations until I really find one that scares the crap out of me so much, that I wouldn't want to go back. And I've, in Exarban 2 and that, I wouldn't want to go back because I don't like to see my friend get scratched up like that.
Yeah.
But for my own reasons, out of like my own safety and fear, I'm kind of still at the point where I would like to keep going to locations until I find one like that, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, morbid might not be the right word, but morbid curiosity to say, like, let's keep scratching until we find something really weird, crazy, whatever.
But wouldn't a place like that just help cement your my own journey, my own personal journey of trying to figure out the other side and what's going on? Something like that, I think, would make a positive impact on that journey. So yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah, taking on the biggest challenge is always going to make things maybe a little clearer. Maybe you have more information.
Yeah,
you're a data guy, so you want, let's see the.
I want to go through that audio from that place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
she's
okay?
like, no, thank you.
Oh no.
Okay,
I'm fine.
Okay,
I was hearing whispering, and I'm like, is that one of us? Or
well, my family might be home, and these are pretty sensitive mics, so sometimes
they are.
Not to just put my skepticism on you.
I love your skepticism because I'm like, you can't talk to me right now. I'm busy.
And if I find something on these cameras, I'll send it straight to you. Okay. Going into the things that you go into, when you find human spirits, do things like traumatic events, we hear stories through pop culture and all of that about traumatic events sort of causing some spirits to maybe linger and things like that. Is there truth to that? Is there, and kind of how do you, I guess, that's got to come with an emotional weight, I would imagine, if you're walking into somewhere that something tragic happened or somebody was hurt or something, talk to me about how you manage dealing with those types of spirits or energies that are tied to something traumatic like that.
One case that comes to mind that we did, it was one of our first cases. The young guy committed suicide in a home. And he didn't even know he was dead. Like, he was just walking around. And then when he did figure it out, he was afraid to cross over because he was going to be judged for offing himself. What Mary mainly did is kept talking to him, telling him it's okay. They're not going to judge you on the other side. If you cross over, you'll be at peace. And there was also 2 other spirits there trying to take his hand and help him cross over. It was very emotional.
Yeah.
I couldn't do another investigation for like a month.
I was going to say that had to have.
Yeah. I mean, it was hours and hours of just trying to convince him just to cross over.
So if I can ask, in that situation and in others I'm sure you've been a part of, what does crossing over then look like? What are we crossing over into? What's what does convincing somebody to go there look like? Because as far as I know, we still don't know what happens completely, right? And it sounds like you guys would be in agreement to that we don't really know what happens. But, what does that conversation look like, if you don't mind sharing?
How I see it, I don't want to offend anybody, but I don't think heaven is clouds and pearly gates and stuff. I think your heaven is whatever you liked in life. I mean, that's what you're going to do in the afterlife, right? And for him, that's what we were trying to explain to him. That there's no judgment for what you did, you know. You've been, and he did this in the 80s. So he's been there for a long, long time. Right. When I see dead ones and they show me their heaven, it's different every time. Sometimes they're fishing. One of my friends that also took his life was playing guitar. So I think it's just whatever you're happy with in your life. And that's how we tried to get him to go to the other side, with the emphasis on there's no judgment. You know, if you go, you'll be happier, you'll be at peace, and you can come back then if you wanted to.
So ingrained in life, that judgment piece.
Yeah, a lot of people are led to believe that that's going to happen, and a lot of people do believe that that's what's going to happen. And
I know, like, there's angels and stuff, or what I would consider an angel. Yeah. When my father passed, he was in the hospital. He passed from cancer, and I have twin brothers who are younger, the youngest ones. They're the babies, and they were taking it the hardest. How I knew, and this is the second person I've seen this happen to, how I knew he was going soon, is that his loved ones started showing up to help him cross over to the other side. And then there was these two other beings in the room by my brothers. The light coming off of them were so bright. And I can only assume they were angels. And because they had like their hands on their shoulders. And I knew it was a matter of hours before he was going to pass.
Wow. That's interesting. So in your experience and through what you've seen, and you feel that there is a way to sort of move back and forth between wherever it is this spirit goes, and then okay.
Absolutely. I've seen my father once.
Wow.
And it was really soon after he passed, and I was not ready to, and I have not seen him since. But I could smell him because he was a truck driver, so I could smell his diesel and stuff. So
wow.
I think grief keeps people from seeing, like, you know, mediums from seeing their loved ones. I think that's really
just like a boundary that you like a barrier kind of.
And I don't think it's even something I can control.
Oh,
I don't think it has anything. I think it's just my subconscious that's like you're just not ready for this. Because when I first seen him, I just ran out of the room screaming, I'm not ready.
So maybe okay.
Yeah. So I don't think it's anything I can control, because I would love to see him now.
Subconsciously, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever that, piece there that's seeing that other people can't.
No.
I should say it was my stepfather, but he was my father since I was
he's
very
dad.
young. So, he's my dad.
Yeah.
I just don't want people to get confused and be like, whoa, she said her dad died when she was 16. Who's this guy?
Well, at least they listened to episode 1.
Link below.
In the Shoy Nights, right?
In the Shoy Nights.
Jeez. So Paul, what kind of things do you have to consider when going into environments or like sites, I guess, that are tied to personal tragedies? Is it just, if it's me as a spirit, I don't know what it feels like to be a spirit, but if it's me, and it sounds like it probably feels pretty similar, because if the young man that you just spoke about didn't even know he was dead, then it probably feels pretty similar, right? So I can imagine if all of a sudden a bunch of strangers came into my house and set up a bunch of cameras and a bunch of sound machines and all that, and they're going, and maybe there's even someone living in my house now, and something, tragic happened there. Do you have to do anything? Are there considerations? Are you considering that when setting up your equipment, when coming into the house, and kind of what does that look like?
Well, I consider the notion, whether, going into investigation or not, just doing this whole thing, I'm always considering whether I'm being ultimately respectful of the other side, whether something tragic happened or not. Mm-hmm. But it's funny, Jeff, the way you just put that. Our last investigation kind of was an absolute demonstration of the way Jeff just laid that out. Mm-hmm. We have clips of being called con artists when we first started talking. And then we hear things like, well, we heard my name. Mm-hmm. And then we heard things like, hear us. They can hear us. They're hearing us. And then some other spirit goes, bullshit. I mean, is that...
Yeah.
So, but that's a little off the cuff, but I think
then they started cussing us out, and I'm just like,
cussing us out, right?
Like, why do you do that for? All the
right.
Yeah.
But I think to more answer what you're asking is, usually when we're doing it, it's at the behest or at the request of somebody there that we're trying to help. We're just not willy-nilly walking into any place.
And we really don't do a lot of outside of PR cases. We don't do a lot of those cases usually.
Right. And to me, well, what I think to keep utmost respect, hopefully that can come across to those on the other side of what we're trying to do. And hopefully what we've been asked to do, they're aware of that, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of,
I think that's fair.
kind of the hat rack I hang my hat on.
Yeah, and how would you? So if you go in there and you're being called those names and things like that, how do you respond to that? Are you like if you go in there and go and clearly whatever you're looking for feels disrespected or invaded upon, do you leave? Do you say, I'm staying anyway? Tell me how you feel, kind of a deal? I mean, is it
pretty much
it's like an intervention?
Yeah, well, or like a ghost therapist.
Like,
look, yeah. Listen, we got to talk about this.
This is not your house anymore.
Right. Okay.
I think some of the times where they're like, what the hell are you doing here? Or if they're going to disrespect us being there, I think we have enough anecdotes and evidence to present to kind of claim that, well, if they're being disrespectful, they're also being disrespectful to the people that are living in the house and thus the problem in the first place. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we've been at other places where we've been told, get out.
Yeah.
Think of Fort Atkinson.
Every place we ever go to, we're told to get out.
Many places.
Right.
But like, no, we're here to get you out.
Yeah.
But anecdotally, though, I can think of a few times when they were very adamant and we're like, okay, we're done. Like,
oh, we're done. I don't think we ever say we're done and leave the whole home. We leave that area.
No, we leave that area.
We just go to another one.
I'm more thinking of the powder room at Fort Atkinson.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That's what I meant by that.
I told you not to go in that room.
Well,
I didn't go in. I stood outside the door and I'm like, I'm telling you, they don't want you in there.
Yeah.
No, they surely did not.
How'd they let you know they didn't?
They called me an effing jerk off and told me to get the F out of there.
Yeah, that's a pretty clear indicator.
Yeah. Yeah. Have you guys ever been there?
No.
It's an interesting place.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get a little bit of advice, I think, for people who may be curious, people who may be aspiring or interested in exploring this side of things, or if people, maybe there's people out there listening to this that also see spirits and don't understand it or anything like that. Is there anything anywhere you can point them, any advice you can give, any thoughts? Most of the time when you ask somebody, hey, what's your advice to people who may be looking into what you're doing and they say, don't?
Yeah.
That I know that's kind of the joke answer, but thoughts about what you can tell people that may be interested in what you're doing or curious about it or maybe wanting to get into it?
Yeah. I think we have like a few rules. Don't go anywhere by yourself. Bring a flashlight. The best thing you can bring is a recorder. You don't need all that fancy equipment.
Yeah.
Does
your iPhone work?
The recorder on it could work. I don't know how well it would pick up voices. When they do come across like on recorder, they sound like little whispers. So it's very hard to hear. So if it has a good mic on it, I mean, you might be able to pick up some pretty good stuff. Don't trespass on anybody's property, like abandoned homes and stuff like that. Just don't. It's
dangerous anyway.
It is very dangerous and it's rude. I mean, that's not what we're here to do. We're not here to get thrills and stuff.
That was going to be my next, and I'll let you answer the same question here, Paul. But since you brought that up, the world of reality TV and the ghost bro or whatever you just mentioned, and people just like any other, there's going to be people out there that give a bad name and give and make and cheapen what you're doing and what's the word, basically just
make it look like a joke.
Yeah. And you're,
they don't take it serious.
Right. And, you may be
straight up rude.
Yeah. And you may be, there's a thrill seeker in me that goes, I want to go with, just like I would want to go. I wanted to go with my buddy who's a police officer and do a ride along with him because it's kind of exciting. And I don't necessarily want to be a police officer, but it'd be fun to go to see. Just like I don't necessarily want to be a paranormal investigator, but I think it would be interesting and fun to see one happen, right? But you just said we're not thrill seeking, right? Even though you probably get some thrill out of it. What would you say to the person, whether it's me or someone else that might want to get into it for the wrong reasons, or like how often do you see that, and what kind of is your?
If somebody asked to go with us, I would ask them why. Why do you want to go?
Yeah.
If they say they want to be scared, or they, I'm like, no.
Go to a haunted house.
Yeah.
Right.
If you're really curious about how it works, and then of course, come along.
Well, when I uncovered what I considered my first actual compelling EVP, it was more of an exciting thing than I would have even have guessed before it happened. And I wouldn't want to behoove anybody that kind of experience. So,
there's something.
Nor would I want to stop anybody from trying to pursue gathering their own answers.
But you want to make sure that they're in it for the right reasons.
Correct. But if they're in it because they're curious about our whole existence,
yeah, absolutely.
That's a right reason.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, and I would imagine too, there is something to be said about the no matter what you're doing, getting into it, as long as you're getting into it with a decent amount of respect and a decent amount, even if partially or fully that your reason is, I want to go have a good time or whatever, something's opening you up, something's getting you in the door, something, and maybe something hits you, where you're compelled, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, this is real. This is something. This is, and sometimes I believe there's something to be said about whatever gets your foot in the door, But with what you guys are doing, I would imagine too, and I understand based on what you're saying that you expect, if you're going to come with us to do it, though, you're going to approach it a certain way, and you're going to respect it a certain way, and you're going to kind of follow our lead too, because we've been doing this, and not to say that you guys know everything there is to know, because you never will.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
yeah.
That's why there will never be experts in this field, because there's so many answers or questions that just don't have answers, and they probably never will.
I can think of a time or two, for example, and maybe you can think of one, where somebody just starts ranting and raving and
I know exactly
threatening
how you're talking
and badgering and I want to leave. I will leave at that point because it's not right. You wouldn't do that to the living. Right.
And it's very hard for me to hide my feelings because my face will tell you if I'm not happy with you. And then if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. So.
Yeah. Her face will tell you by her lips forming words.
Fair enough.
Thanks, Paul.
Before, we're actually rounding the end of
like
episode
it's just
2.
going so fast.
Yeah. Are there some common misconceptions about what you guys do, whether it's called ghost hunting or paranormal investigation or however you want to refer to that you'd like to dispel?
I guess for like whatever you see on TV, that's not how it goes at all. Like there's a lot of times we're just sitting in the dark talking to ourselves, not knowing if we're catching anything. So I think everything that you see on TV is just for entertainment purposes.
Okay.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Is there anything out there in that's available for public consumption that you feel is a little bit more authentic than?
I think the ones that stick out for me is taps.
I'm not familiar with that.
I think they're their original ghost hunters.
Okay.
They're pretty authentic. I even know that they wouldn't even renew their contract because they were asked to fake stuff. So
And producer got involved and then
Did you hear about that too?
No, but I'm sure I can imagine as soon as
and they're like, no.
Yeah.
They said, no, we're not going to do that.
Good for them.
So
Good for them. How about you, Paul? Any misconceptions you'd like to squash?
Maybe that this type of thing is probably thought of as just for entertainment or just for the for a very specific group of people that have a particular intrigue in it. But I think if things are done right, there could be much more intrigue from just beyond entertainment and just beyond people who may be interested in the subject. I think everybody at some time in their life grapples with age-old questions of existence, and my hope is that someday some of this work can actually contribute to people's spiritual journeys and not just be an entertainment venue.
Yeah.
And we like to cover everything paranormal. So it's just not ghosts like aliens. I'm really into aliens and stuff.
I love that.
And cryptoids and stuff. So
and that's not really advice, I guess, like you asked.
No, I asked you if there's anything that you wanted to dispel about what you guys do. Yeah. No, that's perfect, and I think that's valid. I mean, that to me that makes perfect sense. Thinking about what you guys do and why you do it, and hearing how you do it now, I think that it's that's a very important thing for people to know, that like this is at least partially for informational purposes only. Here's some things that we're experiencing, here's some things that we found, here's some things that we've gathered, and I'm not going to be the one to tell you what it is or what I can do the best that I can based on what I'm seeing and what I know, but I'm not here to make this decision for you. This is information.
Except for when it comes to orbs. 98% of those are just dust. Don't show me your orb pictures, please.
Right.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Or like, what are the flares or whatever, like the
lens flares.
Yeah. Everybody's like, oh my God.
I'm like, if I see another one,
come on. I get those on my phone all the time, guys.
Like, how can you not know that's what it is?
Yeah.
I know. Have you ever taken a picture of the moon with your phone?
Or even try to take a picture of the sun.
Right. Yeah. Or
there's a blue orb
light.
following around. Like, is it moving with your camera? Because it's a lens flare.
I think sometimes the most compelling evidence in our environment is difficult to present because it runs up against stuff that's created to be entertaining and have you on the edge of your seat, but many times might not provide a whole lot of data.
Yeah.
Right.
Like catching a spirit on camera. Forget about it.
Yeah.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
That notion bothers me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because just of all of the work, and then you think, wow, we're getting some stuff that has not been seen a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's really hard to figure out how to present it, or even find people that even care about that aspect of it.
You don't have what the general public would consider a highly reputable scientific journal, like a scientist might. You just unless I'm mistaken, that doesn't exist for what you guys do.
It does not.
Because most of what comes out is either bullshit or entertainment. Like you mentioned, Paul. Yeah. So there's not like this. Sure, there's probably a bit of a. It's if subculture the right word, where the circles that you guys run in that it might hold more weight with. But as far as the general consumption of it, it's either the ooky spooky Halloween times,
right.
or it's purely entertainment, or it's the people trying to make something happen, and you can almost see the fishing line pull the thing off the shelf, So whereas maybe in the more quote unquote scientific world, as opposed to the supernatural side of things, there's a more generally accepted practice, I guess, on how to do those things, whether there's truth to that or not. It's generally accepted. So I can see how that would be frustrating to somebody who does this all the time. Yeah. Okay, well, we are at the end of episode 2 already of our part 2 of this 2-part episode. So Marcia, Paul, you guys have been wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in
so much,
and sharing your stories. I hope you had a good time.
I did.
Had a great time.
Good,
it was awesome.
Good. You got some serious Trixie time too.
You
I
did.
did.
Paul.
You lucked out.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trixie.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
So thank you for being with us on Headspace by My Mama Done Told Me. Before we sign off, is there anything you guys would like to... Oh my gosh.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm going to blow that in your... Anything you guys would like to promote or tell people how to find you or plug or anything like that?
We have a Facebook page and we have a website. It's probably easier to get us on our Facebook page.
Okay.
I would like to mention the CROOK House. I think people should go out and visit that. It's on the Fort Campus in Omaha. Okay. It's a very lovely home, and it has its spirits in there.
Okay.
Really? Okay.
But yeah,
if you wouldn't mind sending me some information on that, and I will link all of that stuff in our show notes.
Show notes.
Yes. So contact us if you want to contact us. The two of us, I guess. Email us at
My Mama Done Told Me podcast @gmail.com.
And we will also have contact information, social media, and ways to get a hold of these two if you'd like to in our show notes. One more time. Thanks, guys. This has been another episode of Headspace by My Mama Done Told Me. We hope you keep your minds open and be kind to each other. I'm Jeff. That's Lauren. We've had Marcia and Paul. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you. Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye, guys. We love you. Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye, guys. We love you. Bye, guys. We love you. Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye, guys. We love you.
Bye, guys. We love you.